We will go to the next week, and this one is a true head-to-head. This is September 9th, 1996, and we'll just go right into Nitro. It is Pat Tanaka versus Super Colo. Pat Tanaka comes out to what will be known as Goldberg's entrance music. WCW used it as jobber theme music at this point.
It's so auraless with Pat Tanaka coming out there, but the second you slap Goldberg out there, it's like insane aura.
And presentation matters. During this match, we see young NWO fans with stacks of paper. We see them passing out some NWO flyers, so the NWO is infiltrating the youth.
They've got the kids.
And we'll skip to the finish of this. The finish for this match looked botched to me. It looked like Pat Tanaka was trying to do a top rope gut wrench suplex, but somehow Super Colo reverses it for the win. I'll include a clip of it, but it looked really awkward.
And with Super Colo matches, you're going to get a lot of botches.
But even the announcers didn't know what the hell to make of the finish. They're like, no. I guess that's it. Was this Super Colo's first match?
Yes, it was our first match time seeing them. I'm sure he debuted on like Pro or some shit.
When I first saw this match, I had never heard of either wrestler, Pat Tanaka or Super Colo.
I've heard of Pat Tanaka because Pat Tanaka Oriental Express.
Yeah, so I don't know. I did not like Super Colo's look. If you've never seen him, his mask has sunglasses and a hat on it. I don't like it at all. But I'll give Super Colo this. He did have a couple of decent matches. After this, we do have a backstage interview with Rick Steiner, and I did not like this promo at all.
No, he didn't. No, not a good promo. He stutters a lot.
He's always played a character who's dumb until he starts feuding with his brother. So here he's just really hamming down that he's dumb. He's like, I can beat you.
I can beat you. I can beat you.
I think I could beat him. I can beat you.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Just say, really be like, hey, I can beat you. Ho, ho, ho. You know?
Yeah. So as Rick Steiner's telling everyone that he could have beaten Lex Luger last week, Luger approaches Rick Steiner. Luger tells Steiner that Luger, is on top of his game, and that is bad for Rick Steiner. And Steiner just keeps repeating that he could beat Luger. And Gene ends with saying that he doesn't think Rick Steiner has it upstairs. I couldn't agree more.
I wonder if that was ad-lib or not.
Gene always has to have something smart to say.
I know, right?
But after that, we do get another.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
But this one is a commercial for their t-shirts. But Hall and Nash tell everyone to buy the NWO shirt, and Nash tells us that all the proceeds will go to Ric Flair's retirement fund.
Roasted.
And then we see footage of Glacier debuting on WCW Prime.
Pro.
As we mentioned in the last week's review, we're just shocked to see that they had him debut on such a third-rate show. Full entrance, too. How much money did you waste on that?
Bro, I don't even want to know how much Bischoff spent.
But yeah, just really odd.
The whole production of the whole thing, they say, cost over $500,000. Costume and armor was $35,000 alone.
But yeah, just odd way to do that. You would think they would wait to show us Glacier just when he debuted. And poor timing with the NWO here.
It's just a huge contrast between video game character come to life and realistic group, the NWO, you know.
Would have fit more 95, 94 WCW.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
But the next match for Nitro is the debut of the Amazing French Canadians versus the Nasty Boys. The members of the Amazing French Canadians are Jacques Rougeau, who is the Mountie in WWF, and Carl Ouellet, who was Jean-Pierre Lafitte in WWF. He actually was in the WWF when we started our review.
Most famously known for stealing Bret Hart's jacket. That's all he's known for.
Wrestling to this very day as PCO, and he is crazy.
Yeah, he does like the Frankenstein's monster thing a lot. I kind of like it.
If someone had shown me a picture, I would never have guessed it.
No, I had no. Before, did they do the whole anthem thing?
Yes.
So that's their gimmick. They basically will sing the Canadian national anthem because, you know, we have to boo them because they're not American. So boo.
Not only do they sing the Canadian national anthem, they don't even know the words to it.
They don't know the words, so they just go boo, blah, blah, you know, just mouth it out. It's pretty funny.
Yep, I don't mind it. But the Nasty Boys do mind it because they attack them before they can even finish their anthem. I think that's a little disrespectful.
They Pearl Harbored them.
Oh.
The AFC's taking the Nastyville.
We see people in the crowd passing out NWO flyers, you know. With
more propaganda.
Exactly. Larry Zbyszko gets a copy of one of the NWO flyers, and it reads, "You haven't seen bad, but it's coming." And Larry Zbyszko is not impressed.
No.
But the finish for this match sees Brian Knobbs hit Carl Ouellet with the Canadian flag behind the ref's back, and Sags pins Ouellet for the win. It was interesting to see Lafitte back in wrestling. I didn't know I was going to see him again. And the WCW is actually doing a decent job getting the crowd to care about the Nasty Boys. I think this is like their best presentation since we started watching. There is an in-ring interview with the Nasty Boys after this. Gene asked the Nasty Boys about their ambush on the Harlem Heat last week. Sags tells us that everybody has been pointing the finger at him and Knobs, and everyone has been asking if the Nasty Boys are with the NWO or WCW. But Sags says the tag team titles are all that concern them, and Knobs says they don't care what the NWO does. They are in the WCW, and they are coming for the Harlem Heat, and they're going to take the WCW tag team titles, sucker. Brian Knobs in particular, I think, was pretty fiery in this one.
I like this promo. And I'm not a big fan of Brian Knobs.
No. But I will say I've slightly gotten a better opinion of the Nasty Boys. It's still not great, but it's better than what it was. But let's go over to Raw, where we have Farouk with Sonny versus Savio Vega. This is a first-round Intercontinental title tournament match.
And we're still Gladiator Farouk.
Yes, unfortunately.
Jerry King Lawler on commentary, or was it JR? Someone mentions that Savio might end up looking like Tupac by the time this is over.
Oh,
and apparently this airs 4 days before Tupac was murdered.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. So what you're saying is either King or JR did it, is what you're saying. That's pretty crazy. But this is a long match that features some hard-hitting shots from both men, but I did think that the crowd noise for this match was piped in.
I would not be surprised one bit. Honestly, the match wasn't terrible, but...
No, it is the best match of the night.
Yeah, that is true.
But Farouk wins with the Dominator. It is a good Dominator. But yeah, just not very exciting. I'm just not a huge Savio Vega guy, I guess, because I don't really enjoy too many of his matches.
Yeah.
But after this match, Sonny has a promo. She says what we saw is the first step in Farouk becoming the Intercontinental Champion. Psycho Sid doesn't like that because he's in this tournament, so he comes out and confronts Farouk to a big applause from the crowd. Refs come in to separate the two men, and they are matched up for the next round of the tournament, so we'll just kind of hype that up a little bit. I did think that was good.
Yeah, that was nice. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting matchup.
Yeah. You're like, both men really shouldn't lose at
But
this
yeah,
point.
both men either win, so.
Yeah, but let's go back to Nitro. We have a third match, and it is Scott Norton versus Craig Pittman with Teddy Long. And they call this a hold versus hold match.
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell that means.
It really starts off as a standard wrestling match, I think. Essentially, it's just they trade submissions. That's what it is. Scott Norton gets Pittman in the armbar for a long time, and Ice Train comes out and argues with Teddy Long.
Now, Ice Train comes out in what might be the worst looking tire I've ever seen.
This is the denim overalls thing?
Yes. It's weird. It's a weird tire.
Him and Ahmed compete to see who's the big man who can wear the worst clothing.
Mm-hmm.
But Ice Train comes out and argues with Teddy Long. Ice Train throws in the towel for Pittman. Pittman didn't give up. Ice Train said that's enough. Ice Train gets in Scott Norton's face, and the men exchange some words to each other. No fisticuffs were exchanged, but this was a short match to just further the Ice Train Scott Norton match that is happening on Fall Brawl, which is on Sunday at this time, because this is the go-home show. But after this, we have a backstage interview with Lex Luger, Arn Anderson, and Ric Flair. Flair is up in arms asking Luger, where is Sting? Sting is probably in jail for stealing the cop car, is what I think.
Yeah, no, Sting's definitely, man, Grand Theft Auto, he's spending some hard time. That's felony.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're not getting out for that in a week. So, Flair, I think you know where he's at. But Luger tells Flair that he has been a horseman before, which he was, and he knows how important this match is, and he tells Flair that Sting is here and he will be there on Sunday as well. Mongo and Benoit interrupt the interview, yelling at Luger, asking where is Sting? Why does no one know where he is? Mongo says he can already smell the rats jumping off the ship, and he says he told the rest of the horsemen that they couldn't count on Luger and Sting. Benoit asks Lex what is going to happen in the match, and Luger says Sting is only missing an interview, but Sting will be there on Sunday. Arn says he has already called a hospital for Sunday because he expects to be there after the match, and everyone else should too.
I like that. I think like he's calling ahead.
If he's thinking, he said, I'm not going to the hospital, but I'm taking people with me. I mean, that's Arn right there.
Yeah, that's very Arn.
As Arn says, in War Games, you have to put it all on the line, and he tells Hollywood Hogan that the NWO has lit this fire and it will burn them to the ground. I thought Arn was pretty good here. I did like the story here of where is Sting, what's happening, kind of adds some intrigue to the match on Sunday. Is he going to be there? Is he not? And of course, this leads to, one of the greatest character changes ever. So that's exciting. This is like the ground level stuff here.
Building foundation is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like this whole deal here. The next match we got, though, is Joe Gomez versus Juventud Guerrera. During this match, I saw some fans, they threw some trash at Joe Gomez and they nailed him. I will agree, as far as a metaphor for him as a wrestler, he is trash.
Yeah.
And at least on the WWE Network, Guerrero comes out to Eddie Guerrero's music. I'm not sure.
I think maybe the
actually
first week he did, maybe just because it was like they just like, oh, it's a bit dilute. We don't know what music to give him.
He's Hispanic, right? Give them that music.
Yeah, this match was sloppy.
Yeah, I was about to say this match was a botch-filled disaster, especially as we got towards the end of the match. Remember when Juvi tries to do a springboard hurricanrana to Gomez, who's on the apron, and Juvi just kind of slides right off of him, and Joe Gomez has to throw himself over the ropes. I'm not sure who's at fault there. I'm going to lean towards Joe Gomez.
Yeah.
And the crowd started booing after that. They were like, okay, this is the shits.
No, because it was sloppy, dude. It was sloppy. Juvi at this time could be sloppy. And obviously, you pair him with Joe Gomez, it's just recipe for disaster.
Yeah, Joe Gomez looked like he never wrestled a cruiserweight before in his life. And at one point, Joe Gomez goes to the top rope, which he's not one to do. But Gomez goes for a top rope dive, but Juvi hits him with a weak-ass drop kick and wins the match with the Hero Con Plancha. Is that correct, Mike Tenay?
That is correct.
Thank you. I went back and listened to Mike Tenay say it so I could have it right for you.
Yep, that is the move.
But after this match, we do have a ramp interview with Nick Patrick. Patrick says last week Luger hit him so hard. That made me laugh, though, when Patrick said that Luger hit him so hard because it was the slightest of bumps. But Nick Patrick says he had to rule the match DQ because it's in the rule book. Patrick tells Mean Gene that Gene has told so many lies about him, and he wonders why Luger isn't suspended.
I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, you saw the bump. It was a bad bump. Ring that bell. Fucking fine.
Mean Gene tells Nick Patrick that he has been involved in too many things for it to be a coincidence. Nick Patrick doesn't like this accusation. He again blames Mean Gene for everyone turning on him, and he says he is team WCW all the way, no matter what anyone says. And then Gene mentions some big purchases Nick Patrick has made recently, and Nick Patrick is put off by this. He says Mean Gene is lying, and if he keeps it up, he will take him to court. And then after this promo, we go see the NWO putting flyers on the cars in the rain, which actually helps them stick to the cars better, so that worked out for them.
Yeah.
DiBiase, though, is seen talking to someone in the limo. We don't see who he's talking to, so that's interesting. Should they be showing another member of the NWO?
Sure hope not.
We'll see. But let's go ahead and go over to Raw. And before our second match, we do have an in-ring interview with Shawn Michaels. Shawn says he would like to address Camp Cornette, or at least what's left of it.
Carlos Cabrera did the interview, which I thought was really different.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. But Shawn says he has dismantled Cornette's entire camp with the exception of Cornette. And he says he's going to have Jose Lothario clean Cornette's clock since Shawn doesn't hit women. Oh, burn, sir. Oh, burn. Shawn then brings his attention to Mankind, and he says Mankind has been running roughshod on the WWF, but not anymore. Shawn says he has never claimed to be the toughest guy, but he will stop Mankind, and he tells Paul Bearer that The Undertaker will bury him and Mankind when he comes back. Shawn tells Mankind that he and his clique will show Mankind that they are not his mommy or friend, but he is Mankind's daddy.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels says, I'm your daddy.
Exactly, that's why I did it. Shawn ends it with telling Mankind not to hunt something he can't kill. So yeah, that's about as exciting as this episode of Raw is going to get, folks. So
yeah, that's the most juice you'll get.
Check out this next match, people. We have TL Hopper versus the debuting Stalker, who is Barry Windham, in case anyone doesn't know. You will see this on the list of worst gimmicks of all time routinely, both of these. So yeah, it doesn't really work out. And the Stalker looks dumb. He was just a guy coming out in camouflage.
Yeah, they should have just had him come as Barry Windham. That's what people wanted to see.
But during this match, we go see Brian Pillman and Owen Hart backstage, and Owen says he and Brett are finally back together, and in Philadelphia, Brett will make an announcement that will shock the world. Owen tells the people that they will have to wait and see what Brett says, and we go back to the match, and the fans don't care about this match. I don't care about this match. You don't. Rightfully so. The Stalker wins with a superplex.
Yeah.
It is clear as day why WCW is winning the rating war right now when you look at this. These are woefully outdated characters, and compare it against the NWO and all the other cool gimmicks in WCW. This match was a huge waste of time. Fortunately, we do have to go back to Nitro. So we get a fifth match of the night, and this one actually has some juice to it. It is Rick Steiner versus Lex Luger. Remember Rick Steiner earlier says, I could beat him.
I can beat you. I can beat him. It is an interesting dynamic for this match because both Lex Luger and Rick Steiner are a bit without their tag team partners, so it's a pure singles. So that's
and these are arguably the lesser wrestler of both groups wrestling each other, so it's kind of interesting. Now, the two men do start the match off very respectful. They shake hands. And Rick Steiner hits a nice catch power slam. He always does.
Always.
Every time.
Perfect. Beautiful.
And he hits some really good looking clotheslines on Luger. And then Luger hits some really good clotheslines on Rick Steiner. And then he motions for the torture rack as Nick Patrick starts to run to the ring. And he's telling Luger to go to the back. We don't know why yet, but Luger runs to the back and gets counted out.
So Rick Steiner was right. He can beat Lex Luger.
Yep. But this was, as far as Rick Steiner, Lex Luger, definitely not a bad match. And Luger runs out to the back and he asks DiBiase, who's he talking to?
You hear Sting's voice. But if you're a keen observer, you will catch the audio. The audio sounds familiar because it's a promo you've heard before.
Tired of this stuff, this DTA stuff. No. Don't trust anybody. He's got to go. You know why? You better learn to trust somebody right now.
Yes. And then, air quotes, Sting gets out of the limo and then he beats Lex Luger up as well as the NWO who joins in.
I like how commentary is just acting like this is like their 9/11. You know?
Yeah, well, they are acting like this is obviously Sting when it's obviously not. But I would give them the benefit that at this time, the idea of rewatching these episodes was not really heard of. People could have been tricked.
But even if you know it's not Sting, you're a bit intrigued as to why there's a fake Sting.
Yes. Bischoff on commentary tells us that no one knows where the NWO is. They could be anywhere. Well, they just drove off, so I guess that's true. Either way, the thought of Sting joining the NWO is huge. I mean, that would be very interesting storyline there if he did. I know he does later, but at this time, it'd be like, holy shit, they just got Giant. If they get Sting too, it's a wrap. But yeah, and it also just provides intrigue to the match on Sunday. Is Sting going to be with the NWO, and who's going to be the WCW's fourth member? So, good stuff here. Let's go to the sixth match as Billy Kidman versus Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, this is a quick match. He wins it with a springboard senton. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a flipping senton.
Yep, quick match. Not much to it. Of course, Rey Mysterio is going to win. Let's go back to Raw, unfortunately. We have our third match. We have Freddie Joe Floyd versus the re-debuting Crush with Clarence Mason. I'm not going to beat around the bush, people. I'm going to get right to the finish. Crush wins with the heart punch. Short match, but really getting sick of these terrible characters that no one gives a shit about. WWF is having a horrible time building up new stars. They will get a lot better, but at this time, they're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And they're just not good ideas from the start. Like, anybody could have told you this shit's not going to work. That's all I have to say about that match. You got anything?
Hell no.
Didn't think so. Let's go back to Nitro, where we have the Faces of Fear with Jimmy Hart versus Public Enemy. And the announcers are selling it to us as if they believe it was the real Sting. And so they're really talking about, how awful it is for WCW that Sting is with the NWO. During this match, though, we get another appearance from the Leprechaun.
A.k.a. Jack Boot, a.k.a. Buddy Lee Parker, a.k.a. something else.
And then probably something else.
Yeah.
And then maybe one more thing after that. But he just comes out, he runs around, does a lap, and then f***s off. I don't know. But during this match, we do go backstage to the Horsemen and Lex Luger. Arn says he is not disturbed that Luger lost a friend or they lost a teammate. He says he is in shock that the one constant in WCW that was Sting joined the NWO, and he says Sting was the only one you could count on, and he is sick to his stomach and is at a loss of words. Arn tells Luger that he wants an answer. Luger says he has no answer, and he says his best friend stabbed him in the back. And Luger says he knows where Sting lives and where he works out. They own a gym together, and they're going to go find him. So Luger leaves. Then Flair says he is sick of it, and he tells the NWO that when they lock the cage, 4 of them will walk out, and 4 of them will pay the price that only God knows about.
Damn.
Arn ends it with saying,
It's a fight to the death. Yours, not ours.
I tell you what, the Horsemen are talking a good game. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But then we go back to the match, and Barbarian misses a dive, and he goes through a table. Public Enemy then gets Ming through a table as well, but Ming and Barbarian get up super quickly from these table spots. They essentially no-sell them, and then they start brawling with Public Enemy, and then Ming pins Johnny Grunge while he is choking him. Kind of weird, chaotic finish. But the WCW didn't care about this match because the promo was essentially longer than the match. After this match, we do have an in-ring interview with the Dungeon of Doom. Jimmy Hart tells us that he is tired of everyone being in his face about creating the Giant. And he tells the Giant that when he turned his back on the Dungeon of Doom and joined the NWO, it was the beginning of the end. And he doesn't even know it yet. Bubba kind of just moves on. He's like, whatever.
He wants to talk about Glacier again.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to talk about this Glacier guy. And he asks Glacier if he is afraid, and he tells him to come get some.
Karate man.
Conan is here. I'm not exactly sure when he joined the Dungeon of Doom.
Bro, I swear, it's probably on Saturday. It was probably on Saturday show.
So I'm pretty sure this is the first time we see him with the Dungeon of Doom. But Conan is acting like the version that everyone knows and likes at this point. So we're done with the boring babyface Conan. So that's good. Sullivan says that Macho Man owes him because the Dungeon of Doom helped carry Macho Man out last week. And they did. They even show us footage of it in case we didn't believe him. And he says he can wipe the slate clean by beating John Tenta. But I'm like, does Savage really owe you anything for that? I mean, you did the bare minimum. And that's really weird, but whatever. Minimum. But yeah, the main thing I took away from this promo is that Conan's acting different now. That's good.
Yeah.
And then the last thing before the main events is we got another...
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hogan says DiBiase is the boss, and he says DiBiase has more money than Ted Turner. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. DiBiase says change is inevitable, and he says they can create change and chaos. DiBiase says the NWO wants their own segment on Nitro and their own NWO tag tournament, and he wants the WCW to pay the bill if they win the match at War Games. So that's what's on the line here. And Scott Hall, I believe this is the debut of the For Life hand gesture. At least it's the first time I've seen Scott Hall do it.
I think so.
But yeah, another good video for the NWO. This is the start of them kind of officially taking over WCW. So now we're starting to hear what the NWO wants. So now there's some stakes involved besides the title belt. But this just makes the match at Fall Brawl even bigger, and it already feels like a must-see main event to me.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm very intrigued. I'm not intrigued by this Raw main event.
No, this Raw main event has to be up there with one of the worst Raw main events of all time. It is not one of these gentlemen's fault, but it is Salvatore Sinceri versus The Undertaker, and it's not Salvatore's fault.
No, it's just like, it's just so random. Like, who the F is Salvatore Sinceri?
Now, Vince does try to build him up. He does say that Salvatore Sinceri has been undefeated on Superstars, so he's a big deal. Don't you know it?
I would like to see the list of wrestlers he beats. Probably like
nobody's.
Barry Horowitz every time.
I do get a kick out of Salvatore Sinceri's promos, at least how he does his cheesy sincerely thing.
I love you sincerely.
Yeah, that's about it. But during this match, we see a Goldust video where he says The Undertaker wants to talk about mind games, like the mind games he and Mankind play with The Undertaker. Well, Goldust says he will lay The Undertaker to rest and cover him in the final curtain. I don't know if that's an innuendo or not, but if I was The Undertaker, I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
No, can't take any chances with Goldust.
And also during this match, JR apologizes to us at home. He says he prematurely broke the story of Diesel and Razor Ramon coming back, and he says there was a snag in negotiations. JR says he will bring us more on the story as he can, which means next week. And King then takes a shot at the WCW hotline, and he says you don't even have to call to get the story, so they just want to take another shot at WCW there.
I wonder if they were gonna do it this week. I wonder if they were thinking about maybe pulling the cord on the gimmick. No, we already had JR do it. So,
yeah, it was very random for them to be like, okay, sorry, I wasn't supposed to tell you yet. Were they trying to pass it by legal first, I guess?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That might have been what they were just trying to buy time, maybe.
Yeah, it was really weird, but whatever. So I'm not going to bore you to death here. The Undertaker wins this match with a falling chokeslam followed by a tombstone. I did think that Undertaker gave Salvatore Sinceri more offense than he should have, but this was the main event of Raw, so that's, you're going to get that. I don't think this match helped The Undertaker. The Undertaker is over with the crowd, but not even he could get anyone excited for this match. This is among the worst episodes of Raw I have seen in our watches. There's really nothing of note here. The top stuff was the in-ring promo with Shawn Michaels.
There's nothing in ring.
No, nothing in ring. Yeah, that is really it, actually. Wow, just that. So don't tell me yet, but I'm very intrigued on the ratings for this week. We know WCW wins, but the margin should be huge. It should be astronomical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing that was noteworthy was Sid confronting Farouk. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's Raw for you. So that's... Whew. But we'll go to the main event of Nitro, which is not a great main event, but compared to this Raw, WCW didn't have to try hard to beat it.
No.
It is John Tenta versus Macho Man in a no disqualification match. Tenta, for some reason, still has half a haircut.
Yeah, I don't get it.
No idea. He hasn't been seen in a while, but Macho Man isn't here to have a long match. He hits Tenta with a steel chair multiple times, and then he hits the flying elbow drop 2 times. Teddy Long runs out, and he tells Macho Man he needs him to come with him, saying the NWO are back. Macho Man leaves and he is counted out. So we had the same finish twice today.
Like, I just don't understand why they had to do this a count out win for Tenta. Like, why couldn't Savage hit the elbow and then Long come out? I don't get it. It's weird because it does nothing for Tenta to win this way. He got his ass whipped.
Yeah, nothing at all. But Macho Man runs to the back and he goes to the NWO limo as it speeds away. Macho Man is able to open the door to a second limo that no one's in. But there is a can of spray paint. So the WCW wrestlers then spray paint the NWO's second limo. But again, it is raining outside, so they are doing absolutely zero damage.
I was like, damn, I bet they were pissed it was raining. Some of them got something on it.
But it's going to wash right off.
Yeah. It's not going to do a damn thing. But
yeah, so I did kind of laugh at that. It's like, damn, they're like, yeah, that kind of buried that spot. But again, compared to this Raw, they didn't have to try hard, so it's a good week to have a down week for them.
Yeah.
For the end of Nitro, we do get Arn Anderson. He goes to the announce team and he says he thinks the world is shocked and outraged, but there is nobody better than the Horseman. Arn says Hogan wants to be a Horseman, and now he has taken Sting away from the WCW. Arn tells Sting that they are going to cut off his head if he gets in the match on Sunday. And then Ric Flair tells Hogan that Hogan will not leave town alive. So that is Nitro. So you go ahead and go with the rating.
Yeah, so obviously we picked Nitro because Raw was terrible. Fans also did. This is the 11th week of the streak, 3.7 to 2.4. We will see if this Raw hurts Raw the next week.
It should. It honestly should. But for Nitro, the biggest point here is that they have done a great job building this main event. The main event for Fall Brawl, on the especially Go Home show, they built the match so hot that it's a must-see. When I was about to watch, I was like, yes, I'm really excited to see this match in particular. And that's always good, especially on a rewatch, to do that when you kind of already know what's going to happen. That's pretty good. That means that's a good story.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Nitro's putting in some good work.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they didn't really build too much of anything else on this show, but with the main event being this huge, they don't really need to. That match alone sells to pay-per-view.